Welcome to our monthly forum here. We are at episode 4 of a Child Rights Series 2025, brought to you in by the Early Childhood Commission in collaboration with Serenity Resource Connector. Our theme, hear the voices of our children, we have rights too. And this episode's topic is a powerful one, simple but powerful. High quality early childhood care and education, a child's right, not a service. And we here at Serenity Resource Connector are delighted to have this conversation in partnership with the Early Childhood Commission. And we'll hear from local as well as international thought leaders who are championing the right to quality early education for every child. I am your moderator, Winsome Sharia Witter, and joining me are Nicole Morgan, Training Manager at the Early Childhood Commission, Latoya Foster, Project Manager, Chase Fund, and Dr. Perlin Henry Burrell, International Presenter for PDI. Nicole, Perlin, Latoya, welcome.
Hi. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Pleasure. Let's see who we have here. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 4th episode. All right. Early Childhood Commission is in the space.
Beautiful.
All right. There they are. All right. Fantastic. So we have quite a bit to get through as usual. So we're going to begin by setting the foundation. General question to our panelists here to get us started. So, ladies, I want you to reflect on 2 big picture questions and give us your best 2-minute response to both. So here goes. Why should early childhood care and education be recognized as a right and not just a service? And what does high quality early childhood education actually look like on the ground? And we're going to start with our host, right, co-host, Nicole Morgan, ECC, and then we're going to go to Perlin and round out with Latoya. Nicole.
Hi. Good night, everyone. Thank you for that warm welcome, Mrs. Witter.
Pleasure.
Our first question is to talk about why is early childhood care and education considered a right rather than a service? Persons may see the provision of education as usually seen as a service, but early childhood care and education is a fundamental right because why? It lays the foundation for children for lifelong learning, development, and well being. According to the General Comment 7, children are not just passive recipients of care, they are active citizens with rights. And when we recognize early childhood care and education as a right, it ensures that every child, regardless of their background, where they live, has equal access to quality education that nurtures their full potential, which reflects the vision of Early Childhood Commission. So therefore, early childhood care and education is an entitlement for our young children. When we change our perspectives from just a service to a rights-based approach, our view of ECCE, which is early childhood care and education, is changed from just a service and the child is placed at the center. So as a child's right, it reflects a growing understanding of the importance of early years for lifelong well-being and development. So we don't want to just focus on just service. Services varies at different institutions. When we think of ECCE, we should think of the child's rights and everything else will fall in place. No disparities in access and quality, but seen as child's right as an entitlement. Another question you ask, what does high quality ECC looks like? When I think of high quality, I think of the ECC's 12 standard, an ECI that promotes intentional, and developmentally appropriate practices. The children are immersed in learning, critical thinking happening, and nurturing and stimulating environment, well qualified and caring early childhood practitioners, ongoing assessment, and children are just enjoying partnership with our funders and families and communities.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Nicole. Before we move on to Perlin, just to let you know, Nicole mentioned General Comment 7. So if you were not logged on last month, third Tuesday, you want to go back to the playlist and watch that one to hear the amazing messages that were left here as it relates to General Comment 7. We're at episode 4, which means if you're just joining us, you have 3 more to catch up, but don't worry. They're all there in the playlist, so you can catch up on them. All right, go ahead, Perlin.
All right, so I think there's a little bit to be added to what Nicole has already said, Miss Morgan said. So what part I want to add is the whole idea of right, a child's right, especially as it relates to early childhood, the often forgotten sector or part or discipline. But then when you think of it as a child's right, we think of entitlement. So viewing high quality early childhood center and provision as it means it's not merely a privilege or a commodity, but to be bought or to be sold, like we talk about goods and services. But instead, it's a fundamental entitlement that every child has, just like the right to health, to safety, or to the needs such as shelter. So we are thinking that if we look at it from a right-based approach, then we're actually saying that the state or the country has a responsibility, the government and society, to ensure that all children, everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic background, have that access to high quality education that benefit them and lays the foundation for future learning. We also want to think of it that if it's a right, then there's a legal and ethical obligation of governments to ensure that they are framing early childhood in that sense as a right, so that this will lead to developmental frameworks and different policies and programs that protect and prioritize the rights of the children. And it also underscores a moral and ethical obligation to invest in the early years of a child's life. Because we are saying that if it's a right, then it means that governments and everybody who looks after the welfare of children must ensure that the children are getting the best start in life. And then if we say it's beyond service, it's not a service, or it's beyond service, because there are services that will be in early childhood, a transaction between provider and consumer. That's what service is often defined as. And so while early childhood involves some levels of service that may be associated with the cost, this statement, the one that it is actually the right but not a service, is actually saying, let us pay keen attention. That it should not just be seen as another service in the marketplace. It is a right that we're upholding, and it has intrinsic value, because early childhood is not about just providing childcare as persons sometimes see it. It's just a childcare, a place for children to stay, or a stage of life for young children, but it's also about that intrinsic value in fostering holistic development. Nicole talked about that earlier on, that it's actually during these most critical periods that we lay the foundation for future learning. And then it's also a long-term investment. So viewing early childhood more than service is saying that high quality early experiences can lay that foundation and ensure that we're actually matriculating later on in life into more productive citizens. And it is an investment in human capital. And the research is clear on that. We can go back to Heckman, the economist, that talks about for every dollar invests in early childhood, then the return is high to seven on it than that dollar. So it is a no-brainer that if we actually cultivate this human capital and see it not as a service, but actually as a right of a child, then we're able to provide that quality care that children need. But one of the things we may say, though, in essence, is that the statement advocates for societal and governmental commitment to ensuring that all children have access to high quality early childhood education and care, and just simply shifting a mindset for some of us. It may be a shift of mindset from where early childhood is a service, has been seen over the many years as a service, to where it is now taking a place where we are prioritizing early childhood. And to the second aspect of that, where we look at quality early childhood. What is high quality? For me, developmentally appropriate practice. It sits at the heart of a high quality early childhood setting. And we also want to look at that from the perspective of quality first teaching, giving children what they need, meeting each learner along their their learning journey. And along that, you'll find what we call assessment for learning. You know what the children need. You're applying practices. You're setting your environment, and you also have qualified and caring educators, because early childhood education is a discipline in itself. And so we want to ensure that our practitioners in a high quality setting is actually equipped with the skills that they need, that they can build positive relationship with children and families. One of the things that is also important is that inclusive environment where children are not just physically safe, but also psychologically safe. And so that environment where physical spaces are safe, is clean and well resourced, but most of the teachers are thinking about the holistic well-being of the children in that environment. A big one that is sometimes pushed aside for one reason or the other is that of strong partnership with families and the community. So when you're thinking about high quality early childhood education, you have to have that reciprocal relationship with families where you're actually looking, you're open to communication and collaboration and active involvement of parents along that scope. So connecting with wider community and ensuring that the community is in the center, our school, our setting, whatever terminology you use. But at the heart of that, it's parent, because parents are their children's first teachers, and that cannot be overstated or often underrated. So I think there's a lot of moving parts as you think about high quality early childhood settings. But at the heart of that is developmentally appropriate practices.
Well said. All right. Latoya, Chase Fund, anything else to add to that?
So, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Based on what my colleagues, Ms. Morgan and Dr. Henry Burrell would have said, they would have captured everything that could be said on the topic. But I just wanted to add very briefly that when you think of early childhood care and education as a child's right rather than a service, I think that aims to reculture society into understanding that you're not doing these children a favor by caring for them or providing them with an education. It's not a favor. It's not optional. It's their human right. A right that is mandatory, it's non-negotiable, and it's something that we need to prioritize as a society. And we also need to let people know that we're not supposed to be treating this thing as something that we can do if we feel like. We're supposed to be putting together all the resources we can. And this is where governments and civil society and private sector come in. We need to ensure that we have an environment that will enable our most vulnerable citizens, which are our children, to access not just early childhood education and education on a whole, but quality early childhood education. And that is, I consider Chase Fund to be one of those stakeholders, and we're doing our part in ensuring that there is quality early childhood education. Now, and that segues into the part two of the question, what does high quality early childhood education look like? So I'm not an early childhood practitioner, but I do have some amount of knowledge into what this should look like. The Early Childhood Commission would have their standards for operating, and this is very clear, and it provides a guideline as to what the schools should aim for and aim toward to ensure that the environment is conducive to teaching and learning. So for us, high quality early childhood education is an environment that provides nurturing and stimulation for our young citizens. The first 1,000 days of a child's life is perhaps the most critical to brain development. And so it's important that we're getting all the stimulation that we can do at that point. And the parents are very important because they have them from birth, you know, and so it's important that we understand that quality early childhood education starts from the womb and it continues throughout up to pre-primary. And so the foundation would be stimulation and nurturing. We also have to ensure that the practitioners are capable of delivering quality lessons and, you know, in such a way that they're effective, you know. It's not just chalk and talk. We are using technology, we're using other means of engaging our children, our young citizens, to ensure that they're learning and that their brains are primed for primary. We also need to look at, and my colleague panelists would have touched on this and expounded, but just to say that you have to consider the physical environment, the actual classroom space, the play area. You have to ensure that there is sufficient facilities for them to play, because they learn a lot through play at that age. And their social environment, you have to have that support. You have to have persons who are there to enable their social development and enable them to understand how to solve conflicts and problems at their level. You have to look at their emotional development, their intellectual development, as well as just to ensure that all the moving parts, I think Dr. Borrell said something about moving parts, all the moving parts are factored, right? And that there is an enabling environment put in place where all the moving parts are factored and they are working cohesively, so that we have the learning outcomes that we want. And at the end of the day, that is going to lead to a healthy society once we get the foundation right. So those are my thoughts in a nutshell. I commend Nicole and Dr. Burrell for really getting into the detail of this. And yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents.
All very valuable 2 cents. Indeed. And just in case you think this is good, you need to sign up for PDI, because we are just laying the foundation, setting the teaser for PDI 2025. So you need to make sure that you are there so that you can get the deep stuff. And speaking of PDI 2025, Nicole, let's dive deeper into this year, because I know Team ECC goes very hard when you talk about PDI. So what inspired this year's strong focus on a child's right to high quality education?
That is so true. PDI, 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 ECC's annual Professional Development Institute. So my colleagues would have highlighted their views, their perspectives, what they visualize, what high quality early childhood care and education, a child's right, not a service, meant to them. And look at it, her theme for this year, PDI 2025, is in fact high quality early childhood care and education, a child's right, not a service. My colleagues talk about all the moving parts. Oh, they talked about having well qualified practitioners. They talked about the fundamental rights of a child. So when you hear all of this, you anticipate what PDI 2025 will look like. So I want everyone who has not registered for PDI 2025, just in your book, in your phone, in your calendar, just save these dates, May 19 to 2023. This year will be exciting because we're going to focus on the rights. We're going to focus on the child, placing the child in the center, because what the service that we provide, it's not just an option. It is not just, we're just providing these services. We want to ensure that the children's rights are highlighted. So what is PDI? PDI is an organized event designed to enhance the skills, knowledge, and competencies of all our early childhood practitioners in Jamaica, in the region and internationally, and our ECD stakeholders. Yeah, when we think about PDI, we think about the many workshop sessions. We think about the panel discussions. We think about networking, which are often led by our experts in the field of education, in the health field, in social work. And make sure May 19th, you're there. Not just the 19th, the 18th, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We're at Montego Bay Convention Center, St. James. You know, May 2019, we started our PDI, our first staging of PDI, May 2019, my bad. So we're going home. We're going home to Montego Bay. And this year it will be face to face. Even though we're having a face to face and 90% face to face, we'll have an opportunity to live stream some of our sessions, our opening session, of course, and our closing ceremony. Who are expected to be at our PDI? Every single person on this platform. Tell your parents, tell everybody in your community about our Professional Development Institute. But we have some special sessions for our children. So we are target driven. We are intentional in our planning. We want to ensure that the rights of our children are seen, are taken care of. So we're going to have children at living in areas where zone of special operations are instituted. We're going to have parents at our session, and of course the early childhood practitioners. We're thinking about seamless transition for children. So teachers of grade 1 to 3 will be at our PDI, special needs educators, healthcare personnel, and of course, Dr. Burrell is online. Regional and international representatives will be here at PDI. And guess what's the cost? Just $15,000. Less than what we started in 2019. Registration for access to 5 days of PDI, only $15,000. And ensure you register. So when we talk about PDI, what does it look like? So May 19, we start with this elaborate and full of excitement opening ceremony. And when we have the opening ceremony, it is the official welcome of PDI. We have the greetings from all our specially invited guests. See, we have Representative Latoya from Chase, of course, one of our funders. And thank you, Chase, for always being with us from 2019 to 2025. Then we talk about children having a voice. We'll have recordings of children talking about what rights feel like to them, which would be very interesting to see what children see as rights. And this is why we're having our PDI, building awareness, improving awareness for the children and for everyone in Jamaica. And then we're going to acknowledge projects 20 ECIs. From last year PDI, we would have decided, the ECC decided to support schools, infrastructure, in training, and see how well they can improve. So they had 1 year of intense intervention. So we'll have an opportunity to celebrate those schools who would have improved on their inspection report. And of course, I said regional and international representatives. Our keynote speaker would be Miss Rakoya Fall Diawara, who is an education specialist from United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, right from Paris. You see, everybody global are interested in early childhood, especially Jamaica. And then we'll have our plenary and featured sessions on that special day on the 1st, where we'll be having the launch of the global report on early childhood care and education. And guess what's the title? The Right to a Strong Foundation. You see, when planning PDI, we think about the importance of the sector. We think about our national goals. We think about the impact, not just short-term impact, but long-term impact. Everybody, if you research what is happening globally, we're focusing on the rights of children. And of course, in the evening, after everything, me tell us, PDI just full of fun, packed and impactful. We have a PDI lime, a place in the yard where liming, networking happening, where all our specially invited guests have an opportunity to be involved in our culture, talk to each other about what is happening within their region, within their space, talk about child's rights. So our program, what does it look like? I think back in 2019, we had 5 tracks, but we began with large. ECCs just began large. So each year we review, we monitor, we evaluate and said, hey, we're missing out one of the moving parts. And then we increase our number of tracks. So this year we have 8 tracks. And of course, these tracks are aligned to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. As usual, track 1 is parenting. And the article that we focus on is responsibility of parents. Track 2, entitled Early Learning and Care. We focus on Article 24. That article focuses on access to health, clean water, food, and environment. Track 3, children's expression. No, you see that track, we will be having 150 children being engaged in play, immersed in play activities, in different arts form, visual arts, drama, singing, music, dancing. These children that I mentioned earlier from zones of special operations will be engaged in different activities. And if you were at PDI last year, you see how well they performed. They showed what they would have garnered over the 4 days of PDI. And the article that we focus on and highlight is rest, play, culture, and the arts. Then we have track 4, inclusion, focusing on the Article 23, children with disabilities. I tell you, when we plan, we plan on every areas, all the moving parts we think of. Track 5, stream. Article 28, access to education. Track 6, arts in ECD. Rest, play, culture, and arts. Article 31. You must say, I wonder, I did say Article 31 for track 3, children's expression. So just as so the children are immersed in their different activities, the teachers know will be learning how to immerse the children in the different arts elements. Rest, play, culture, and arts. So track 3 is focused on the engagement of children, while track 6, teachers are learning different ways how to continue these activities with the children when they go back to their individual institution. And let's not forget our 2 other tracks. Track 7, leadership, aims of education, and track 8, advocacy, Article 42. Remember, we're thinking about every single thing when we were planning for PDI. So we talked about 5 long days. But you see, the opening day, the specially invited guests, we have special sessions. But you see, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have these concurrent workshop sessions. Just visualize those 8 sessions. For the entire day, for 1 track, there will be 4 workshop sessions, starting from 9 to 10, then 10:30 to 11:30, 1 to 2, 2:30 to 3:30, and just think about how many tracks again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we have 8 tracks and 4 sessions each, for the day we have 32 concurrent sessions happening, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if we add all these sessions for the 5 days, we're going to have about 108 sessions. Just think about it. PDI, the quality that we are providing for these teachers, that when they come to these sessions, they have an opportunity to learn, a change mindset, going back to their institution, many choices to choose from, going back to their institution to implement. So us, the ECC, will continue monitoring and evaluating and supporting our teachers. And of course, on the closing ceremony, the giveaways, enough niceness. We have our concurrent plenary session and then our closing ceremony. So please, you have to sign up. You cannot miss the excitement for PDI 2025. It's a passion for every ECC employee. Everybody wants to be at PDI. Presenters want to be at PDI. Practitioners want to be at PDI. Not just practitioners in Jamaica, regionally and internationally. We name the abroad, everyone. Please register. So over to you.
I just realized I'm muted. You heard that passionate plea.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
link to register is in the comments. And I mean, the comments are rolling, and Team ECC is in there sharing, sharing as always. Very passionate, Nicole. But after all them, those 108 or more sessions that you plan on having, are there places that we still need to improve? We're training or setting consistent standards to ensure every child gets the best start? Or is
Indeed,
PDF taking care of all of that?
indeed, there's always a space for improvement. We always want to improve. We want to ensure that teachers have access. We want to ensure that the teachers have that support to continue what we do at PDI and to continue to ensure that their ECIs are certified. We want to ensure that there are more public awareness. And we want to ensure, that funding, that's why our chairs is right here with us, as well as UNICEF, who continues to support the development in ECC. We just need to continue monitoring, funding the sector, and have more professional development opportunities for our teachers. It is a big deal. And my colleagues talk about well-qualified teachers. And when we have well-qualified teachers, they are able to provide that high quality early childhood space, that stimulated, caring environment, well-resourced learning environment for our children. So what we need to do is just continue what we are doing, ensure that we get it right from the start, ensure that children's rights are advocated. So we are building on building and improving. And every time, as what Dr. Pearline Burrell said, the moving parts, ensure that we are seeing all the moving parts and we are aligning ourselves with the moving parts, and ensure that we continue providing high quality, we continue supporting our ECPs and ECIs.
Indeed. And this is Misheka Green says, how can I miss this year's staging of PDI? How could you indeed? All right, it sounds like you're already registered. And speaking of national support, now we are going to take the discussion over to Chase Fund, who continues to be a vital partner in Jamaica's early childhood sector. So, Latoya, talk to us. How does Chase support the expansion and enhancement of early childhood education across Jamaica? A lot of work being done there. Tell us about it.
Yes, thank you so much. So when I say this, a lot of people, they kind of are taken aback. But Chase is an acronym, and the E in Chase is for early childhood education. So our focus is on early childhood education in terms within the whole education space. So Chase is culture, health, arts, sports, and early childhood education. Now, the focus of tonight is early childhood education, so I will speak on that. Now, 25% of our funding for our projects portfolio is allocated to the early childhood cohort. In terms of dollar value, we're looking at over $400 million invested in this sector annually. So over the years, it would have been billions of dollars that we would have invested in early childhood space. Now, primarily, quite a bit of our funding is allocated to constructing infant schools and departments island-wide. And when we say constructing infant schools, we're talking about the full facility. So you're talking about classrooms, bathroom facility, kitchenette, staff room, etc., and all that comes with that. Sick bay, play area. We do fencing. So it's a holistic approach to the built environment. We also renovate existing schools. We expand existing schools to address population increase or demand for that school. And so quite a bit of our funding is toward the physical environment that our children are in. But we don't just stop there. We also ensure that there is quality teaching taking place. And so what we do to support this is we provide scholarships for early childhood practitioners who are doing undergraduate degrees and to a lesser extent postgraduate degrees in early childhood education and special education, as well as some other at the master's level. There are some other program areas, but primarily it's early childhood education and special education. That is the focus. And so each year, approximately 10% of our funding for early childhood education goes into providing scholarships for persons who are pursuing programs in early childhood education. And in terms of, and I like to give figures, we're a funding agency, and I like to give figures. So in the financial year that just ended, 171 students island-wide, and they're enrolled at all the teachers' colleges and some of the other universities, they would have benefited from scholarships from Chase. And so we want to ensure that the point of this is to ensure that we have trained teachers in the classroom, and we don't just give you a beautiful building and expect that that's the end all. No, we want to ensure that within that building, that lovely building, we have trained teachers who can administer teaching in an effective way, in an evidence-based way. And so that is why we prioritize our scholarship program. We don't drop the ball. Every single year without fail, this program is rolled out and persons benefit in a real way. All right. We also provide support to for national early childhood programs. And so ECC we consider to be our biggest partner in early childhood education. And so we are there to support the ECC. Some of the programs that we have supported the ECC on would be the Jamaica School Readiness Assessment. Some persons may know it as the Age 4 assessment. So when children have attained the age of 4, you want to assess them to see how ready they are for primary. And it's not too late, because you can have if they're tested at age 4, you have a chance to do some intervention before they get to primary. So we have supported the ECC in the administration of the Jamaica School Readiness Assessment, and this aims to identify students at that level who may need intervention. They may not be at the level that they need to be, and so you can put in place some interventions to support them as they progress throughout the school system. We also support a curriculum development program that was being rolled out by the ECC. And of course, teaching and learning, it's not static. You have to, it's dynamic, and you have to grow with the needs and respond to the needs that are in front of you. And so curriculum development is something that we're also keen on. We want to ensure that we are doing the best we can in terms of what it is that we're teaching our children and how we're teaching them. We also support the Early Childhood Commission's certification program. And this, of course, is very important because there are 12 operating standards, and the schools are asked to attain 100% certification in order to be classified as providing the best possible environment for the students. And so certification is something that we support thoroughly. Each year we provide funding to the ECC toward this initiative. And finally, let me just highlight the PDI. I mean, Nicole would have done a tremendous job giving an overview of it. We have been on board since 2019. We all know what happened in 2020. There was COVID, but that did not deter the ECC from continuing the program. And so they have ridden through the storms of COVID. They still hosted it, and they're now back again for 2025. And of course, Chase is on board as a sponsor. We're happy to support PDI, the ECC in general, but PDI in particular, because this is the platform upon which you can reach a wider cross-section of practitioners and provide them with quality information and professional development that they may not get in a classroom. I would have indicated that we would have given scholarships to 171 students, practitioners who are pursuing early childhood degree programs, and that's 171. The PDI is reaching, their numbers are in the thousands. So when you look at the impact of the PDI, you can see where this is something that we would have had an interest to support, because we feel like the reach is quite great, and we want to ensure that, yes, we have those doing their degrees and they're doing well and they're going to do very well in the classroom, but we also want to reach those who may not be in the classroom, but they also need that professional development to keep them abreast, to keep them up to date with the latest research, the latest best practices, so that they can be effective in the classroom. So we are happy to support the ECC, and we are persistent and consistent in our quest to ensure that every single dollar that we receive for the sector is invested in the sector. And that's a priority of Chase. And each year we ensure that we do all the needs assessment that needs to be done to see, okay, where are the areas that need the funding this year. We, in addition to constructing schools and providing scholarships for practitioners and supporting national early childhood programs, we also do other interventions in the space. We provide health screening for children. We do this, for example, eye testing, etc., because this also plays a role in how they learn. So we provide health screening for children. We also help to equip schools with learning resources. So that's a program that we're doing now. We're basically rolling it out. We've rolled it out over the last few years. And so we are providing learning resources such as books and certain toys to do the early stimulation of our little young minds. So we do quite a bit of that, and we aim to really support the wider Ministry of Education, and in particular the Early Childhood Commission, in rolling out whatever national program for early childhood education that they're rolling out. So we're there as a partner, and we support as best as we can. So that is it in a nutshell. Well, I'm not sure, it may have been a big nutshell, but I try to keep it concise because I know time is against us. But that is pretty much what Chase does in the early childhood space. And our website has lots of information. I invite you guys our listeners, to our viewers, to check out our social media pages, check out our website. You'll see a lot of what we're doing.
Right. Talking about touching all the moving parts, because I'm not sure about you all, but I learned a lot more about the Chase involvement in early childhood education. I mean, you said a nutshell, but just in case someone missed how Chase's broader mandate aligned with ECC's vision for every Jamaican child.
Yes.
Let's hear it in 1 minute.
Yes, in 1 minute. So the ECC's vision is very straightforward and very instructive. It says all children having access to quality early childhood development services, enabling the realization of their full potential. Now that goes hand in hand with how we approach our work at Chase. It's, as I said before, it's not enough to just put in a beautiful building. We want to ensure that that building is conducive to teaching and learning. We want to ensure that there's a play area where the children can play and learn while they play. We have also, which I didn't touch on, we have also rolled out in the past few years a technology enhancement program. So it's not just, oh, there's a whiteboard and the teacher is going to be on it. Well, no, we have interactive boards. We have put in hundreds of interactive boards in infant schools and departments island-wide to facilitate that interactive teaching and learning experience. Because the children nowadays, they want to have a device. They want to see something moving. They want graphics. They want fun. And so we are aiming to ensure that we're keeping up with the times and moving with the times. And so we are doing quite a bit of putting in technology in the spaces to continue with the stimulation. We believe that quality early childhood education, which is the vision of the ECC, is not just limited to a few of the parts. It's a holistic approach. I'll give you another example. When we construct a school, we construct kitchen and we put kitchen equipment in there. We put fridge and stove because quite a bit of these schools, they have like a feeding program, or they may have a little garden where they harvest their crops and they cook and they do nutritious meals for the children. And so we're also thinking about their nutrition and ensuring that at least there are appliances that the school can utilize toward bringing nutritious meals to the children. So we try to be holistic as much as possible and look at all aspects. Obviously, as a funding agency, we don't control, or we don't have access to the entire gamut of interventions that you can have in the space. But within our mandate and within our power, we maximize on what we can do and we ensure that we do it well. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay, and the commendations are rolling in the comments for Chase and the awesome work that you're doing in supporting our ECIs. Kudos to the team and continue to play your part in ensuring that all the moving parts are taken care of. So we heard about the awesome activities that will take place at PDI 2025. And we heard about Chase's involvement, the Chase Fund involvement in making all of this happen. But let's get a regional perspective. In the comments earlier, we saw Dr. Perlin Henry Burrell, you made Cayman proud. So just in case you did not realize, Dr. Burrell is joining us from the Cayman Islands. And so we're going to get her perspective because she is an annual participant in PDI. So, Perlin, from your vantage point, how can ECC and other agencies or countries move from awareness to action in upholding children's rights within learning environments?
Okay, thank you so much. And I started in 2019 to Montego Bay. That's the first time I came down for
right.
Yes. And so one of the things is that we are easily moved by passion. And so we may go to PDI and we feel the fire falling on us and we feel elated and moved by the different participants, different presentations. But it is one thing to be moved and the next thing to be moved into action. And so moving from awareness to action, it employs a multi-pronged and collaborative approach, and that is driven by the understanding that a child's right, particularly the rights to high quality ECC, must be actively upheld. And so one of the things that we need to start, and I'm talking from a policy perspective as a policy advisor, is to strengthen legal and policy frameworks. So we have to ensure that the existing legislation, that our policies that we may have, explicitly recognize and protect children's rights. So we start there from the policy. So if we start from policies, setting up the right policies in place to ensure that children can get what they need, then we can also advocate for any necessary legal reforms, our development of specific regulations that mandate standards for ECC provision across settings, whether it be private settings, or public settings, or even home-based institutions. And then also investing in capacity building. Our colleague talked about the value of professional development, and that cannot be overstated. Professional development sits at the heart of a child's right, because it's one thing to be institutionalized, and the next thing is to ensure that the children have high quality. And so we want to ensure that persons who touch the life of children, it could be practitioners or social workers or healthcare professionals and other stakeholders, and are informed of the rights of the children so that they can offer the best practices. And this may include the insights that we get from PDI in Jamaica. Because for me, having met with those policymakers last time, my eyes were open to things, and things that I have been overlooking, I returned to them when I returned. And so another part of that is actually enhancing and monitoring accountability mechanism. Ensure that we actually have a robust system for monitoring the quality of ECCE provisions across their countries and agencies. For example, in the Cayman Islands, we have the early childhood the Office of Education Standards, which actually does the quality control and tests and see where we are, inspection. Just ensure that every 2 years the cycle goes on, that the quality of early childhood is being provided in the island is up to standard. And so countries want to have that mechanism in place to ensure the quality assessment, feedback mechanism on how to improve, and the standards that have been mentioned before are in place so that children's needs are being met at the highest level. We also want to empower families and communities. Talk about that. Sometimes families bring their children to services, but we also want to bring services to families, which is very important. So, for example, in the Cayman Islands, we have now implemented as a pilot program what we call the roving care. So, mentors. So the mentors go in and they support parents within their homes. So we are not only thinking when we're implementing the standards and the rights of children is to actually get them into institutions, but for those persons who may suffer or have some levels of vulnerability, how do we bring services to them? So just meeting the children where they're at, regardless of their socioeconomic background. That is how we move from just talking about it to become practical. Another one we want to look at is that fostering interagency collaboration. Our partner from Chase spoke at length about how that institution has been partnering with the Early Childhood Commission to ensure that education is of the highest standard. So the research has shown that no one entity, whether it be government or private sector, cannot carry early childhood because the scope is wide. So there has to be that interrelationship and multi-agency collaboration that strengthen communication for ECCE, but also provide those kind of coordinated or holistic approach to supporting children's rights and providing that comprehensive support, or what we may call a wraparound support. There's also allocating of adequate resources. Quite often teachers cry, in quotation marks, that they don't have the resources that they need. So I was very pleased to hear that Chase said, we're not only building you buildings, but we're also giving you resources. And not only are we giving you physical resources like stoves and so, but going to give the human input in terms of developing the qualities of teachers. That is one way we can move and advocate. We also want to engage children's voices. And believe it or not, engage children's voices. Even if they're at early childhood, the youngest age, we can take feedback from them and get their views. And I think it is Ms. Morgan spoke about how the children will be involved in PDI in terms of their voices, expressing how they feel. And that is very important that we collect and recognize the children's voices from their perspective. Another one is data collection and research. We have to invest in data collection and research to better understand the needs of the society that we are serving. And one of the key elements of our strategy in the Cayman Islands is moving from intuition to data. So we want everything that we do to be data driven, meaning that we are taking data from international standards. We are looking at our local, we're also looking at regional, and then we are making evidence-based decisions that inform the policies that we make for the development of targeted intervention. Because it's not just providing intervention from a cookie cutter approach, but also the one size fits all doesn't work. And so we have to know why are we doing what we're doing is very important. And so also learning from international best practices and regional, what works, what didn't work. And so as we continue to engage with international platforms, like maybe the PDI or other platforms or other institutions that are doing things, then we can learn about successful strategies and then we can also implement them. So that is one way we can move from just theorizing it to more practical element of it.
Indeed. I love the passion. You were so passionate, you were actually fading into the background at points. But really love the passion, and I heard clearly some of the key elements why that how you have actually used what you have learned at PDI back in your home country, and it's good that you're able to take away and put into action. And glad for the points that you shared. But what makes Jamaica's PDI stand out for you? What keeps you coming back from 2019,
I
2025?
I think actually for me is the collaboration than
Ah,
the regional setup that we get opportunities. We are so close but so far, and so we get an opportunity to engage, and not only to engage but also to be regrounded. And when I say regrounded, it means that a number of our early childhood practitioners are from Jamaica. And so I have taught in Jamaica for 10 years, but then I've lost track of what it means to be early childhood from that. And so when I came and I went on that visit at the tour, that really now gave me that context again. And one of my colleagues who came with me, who did not, who's doesn't have that local kind of background, was able to see the context and able to contextualize the staff that we are getting from Jamaica to come into Cayman to teach in our early childhood settings, because a large number of them are that. So just coming, and for me, it's a way of building that kind of relationship with our colleagues when we come. Also, just meeting with those policymakers, those from UNICEF, and so get me again. I'm telling you again from a policy perspective to refocus my own policy and just to advocate. When I came and I thought about the rights of the child, and I came back with a different mandate that I must focus on policy and advocacy, and 'cause that part of it is and we as from a Cayman perspective, we are really into early childhood. We have a number of things that we are actually implementing, and just that coming and sharing. And well, wonderful Mrs. Cowan, who's coming back with us to share again, who shared her passion, and we gleaned our own, and just listen to different, and just even not only being a presenter but also being a consumer from going to workshop, because we went to different workshops too that we have attended, whether it be the music, and just the rhythm. Yeah, the rhythm, just the rhythm, and there is something about that natural rhythm that really flowed with us for weeks and weeks after we have the power that ignites from the room, and it was a different kind of synergy that we have felt. And so just look at it, and looking at meeting with our colleagues is much more than just a PD. It's a personal development for us. So every track has something to offer that we could have taken back. For example, as we worked on our education council guidelines, you have standards, we have guidelines. And from those more high level discussion, more policy driven ones, we were able to say when we came back with our lovely Miss Darbra, who works on that aspect, we are now going to put ours in different standards, in different, so we kind of find a chance, an opportunity now to refocus and look at how we lay out our own standards. So there are lots to be gleaned, not only to give as a presenter, but to receive for ourselves. And we look forward to the collegial relationship across the region, and to build those bridges that may have been broken, and to learn new strategies and empower ourselves. And so again, we say we are looking forward to another wonderful 5 days, and just to hear the rhythm from the room. That's what we are looking for, the rhythm. Really, the opening ceremony was something, and the closing, and just everything was wonderful. And we look forward to sharing our skill set, but also continue to see what we can take back with us, what we can leave and give back to the nation for nation building, but also what we can take back as we continue across the region. Because one of the things, and I can talk at length, but I'm coming down now, is that it is actually a regional thing in terms of early childhood. It's a global, but we have to rise together because of that constant movement across the region. When one part of the region is strengthened, every part benefits. And so we continue to look at it from that perspective, that if we share with our colleagues where we are getting most of our teachers from, and we are trying to build high quality, and we are proud in Cayman. And when I say I'm proud, we are proud. We are particularly proud that we have a state of the art provision that is called early childhood. We have our own growing pains, and so, but we're on the right trajectory. We are one of those who really believe in the rights of the child. And so as a ministry, we continue to invest more. Especially this year, we have increased our access to what we call early childhood assistance funding, so that more children can get funds for preschool assistance, so that they can actually attend. And we keep looking at some different things. And I'm blessed. I mean, it's not about me, but I'm so blessed that I have a wonderful team of early childhood practitioners who are really passionate and really ready to go. So when we come back and we, as a unit members who will be attending, are fired up, then we will light their candle one school at a time, one center at a time. So we are excited to be a part of the PDI in any shape or form, whether it would virtual or anything, but we wouldn't settle for virtual because we want to feel the actual rhythm of the room, right? Yeah.
Oh,
So thank you. Yeah.
thank you. And your colleague Antoinette Cohen is here. So that's how we do it in the Cayman Islands. The passion drives practice. Jamaica is our foundation. And she continues, I was an early childhood education officer in Jamaica Region 2, so giving back is also a passion. And we appreciate you, Lady Cohen, and the others. And I kept hearing while Perlin was sharing the power of reciprocity. It's not just about getting, but also giving, because it's in giving that we receive.
Yes.
So I'm really loving it. And for those who have not yet registered, what are you waiting on? You need to be at PDI, right? Because we have Cayman Islands coming out. We have the US coming down. Who else we have coming over?
Bahamas,
Okay.
Trinidad, we have a lot. Yes.
Amazing. All right. So we are at the 1 hour mark and we are about to wrap, but let me just thank our amazing panelists for, these powerful insights. And it's the virtual space that we're in. Can you imagine feeling the rhythm
Is
as
it?
Carlin mentioned at PDI 2025? So thank you for keeping the comments going, Team ECC and the ECIs. I saw you, lady. Let me see, from out of Clarendon. She actually got her an upgrade in her certificate idly grant. There you are. Congratulating Chase on a job well done. She actually, from one of the episodes that we had here, learned about where she could get additional certification in early childhood education, and was happy to report to me that she got it done. And she is no chicken. So I am always super proud of her for actually making the commitment. And as we spoke about, not just getting the information, but actually acting on it and benefiting from it. Yes, and Antoinette is encouraging you all to register. All right. So as we close, let me just give you 3 key takeaways that I don't want you to forget. High quality early childhood education must be seen and upheld as a right, not a privilege. And a number of you have echoed this sentiment in the comments. So we're expecting that we're going to be seeing more of that in the ECIs across Jamaica, not just in some, but it will be a universal language throughout the ECIs. Right? Stakeholders from funders to educators must collaborate to create environments where every child can thrive. And you heard it mentioned, one of the things that's seen at PDI is the power of collaboration. And the third and finally, PDI 25 is more than just an annual event. It is a national call to action. The question is, will you answer the call? Let that sink in. Now, special thanks to the Early Childhood Commission, as well as our guests, Latoya Foster from Chase Fund and Dr. Perlin Henry Borrell from Cayman, our regional presenter, and to you, our amazing audience who kept the comments engaged for continuing to champion Jamaica's children, because of course, they have rights and we have a responsibility to uphold those rights as we groom them, right? Remember to share the replay. Subscribe to the Serenity Resource Connector YouTube channel. We do this every third Tuesday in this space. So look out for the blog recap on the Serenity Resource Connector website, as well as the awesome video highlights from Team ECC across the ECC and the Serenity Resource Connector platforms. And stay connected as we amplify the voices of our children, because they have rights too. So let me thank you all again for those who are able to join us live, and those of you who are watching the replay, whichever time or wherever the space that you're in. Thank you so much for being a part of the awesome work that's going on here. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of the night. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
A Child Rights Series 2025 Live Forum, Hear the Voices of Our Children, We Have Rights Too, is brought to you on third Tuesdays at 8 p.m. in collaboration with the Early Childhood Commission. Visit our website at www.serenityresourceconnector.com and subscribe to receive our weekly blog post. Join us again on Thursday at 8 p.m. for Community Corner. Thank you for watching.